My name is Brian Egger, and welcome to the first episode of Build Like a Pro TV. Today we're going to talk about starting your business. How do you actually start your business? Well, the first thing you have to do is actually think of a name for your business. In today's day and age, you have to make sure that name is marketable on social media and on the internet. And so some of the hardest things to do is actually find a name for your business that isn't already taken with a website name or social media accounts. Actually, a good thing to do these days is actually get on the internet and find a website that isn't taken yet that you can use for your business. So you actually back into the business name. For instance, when I started Build Like a Pro, I didn't have a name for Build Like a Pro yet, I just had a concept. So I actually was on the internet on GoDaddy just typing in website names of what might be available, and I settled on Build Like a Pro because it was available. I could get the website address, I could get the Instagram address, I could get the Twitter address, Facebook, etc. You guys understand it. So the other thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that the name is available in the state that you're going to be doing business in. That is also important because you can't legally operate in the state you're working in if you don't register your name. And they're not going to let you register your name if somebody already has the name. So as easy as it might sound, say if you're Bob and you're a painter, I'm pretty sure Bob's painting is already taken in your state, on the internet, on social media. Or if you're Bill and you're a drywaller, I'm pretty sure Bill's drywalling is already taken also. Simple names like that are going to be gone, and you're not going to have a chance to use them. So back up a step, think of something really unique that can explain your business and what you do, and start going at it that way. Find the website, find the social media, and get going. The second thing you want to do is you will want to find a good attorney to work with. Now, I know it's easy to go on the internet and maybe go to LegalZoom or something and have them work. You can pay $350 or whatever it is these days, and they will legally set you up as a business in the state you're working in. And you can do that. I've done that. I'm just going to tell you based on my experience, unless you're smarter than me, which isn't really going to be that tough, that probably using LegalZoom isn't the best way to go because you can go down a path that might end up hurting you in the end. I would suggest finding a local attorney to work with, somebody that you already know or somebody that some colleagues of yours knows and then give you a good referral, and find somebody who's easy to work with. Now what I mean by that is you want an attorney that will actually answer the phone when you call them. Or, realistically, they're going to be busy also, so you at least want them to return your calls because sometimes it doesn't always happen with attorneys. Even though they're in the service industry like you are, they don't always return phone calls, which is really strange, right? How do you keep your business if you're not returning a phone call? But it happens all the time. So it's really great to have an attorney lined up and ready to go because at some point in your journey, you're going to need an attorney. You're going to get in a situation where you're either getting sued or you need to sue somebody else. Usually it has to do with payment, and usually it has to do with one of your customers not paying you. So it's great to have the attorney ready to go that if you ever need to go to somebody for some legal advice and say, here, this customer isn't paying, what do I do? You've already got somebody lined up ready to go that can help you. The other thing an attorney will do will help you set up your business. They will have boilerplate forms already ready for you to go so that you can set up your LLC or whatever structure you want to use, and it's simple. They're going to have it ready to go. It's going to be legal in the state you're operating in, and you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Now, I keep talking about easy to work with. So easy to work with means that if I call you as my accountant or my lawyer, you're probably not going to answer the phone because I understand you're busy, but at least call me back when I leave you a message. That's not only important with your accountant and your lawyer, it's also important with you and your customers. That's a lesson that you really want to learn because if you don't call somebody back, you get the reputation of being unreliable. So there's a lot of times that just answering a phone call can get you business, or if you don't answer it, it can lose you business. So when I say you need to find an accountant that's easy to work with, that's basically what I mean is just find an accountant that will actually return your phone call when you need them, or answer an email when you need it, or just be there to advise you when you just need a piece of advice. Now going on to why you actually need an accountant, well, you can do this part too, but it goes back to an accountant has the expertise that you're going to need to make sure it's done correctly. Don't be like me. I actually did use LegalZoom a few years ago when I was forming an LLC for some rental property I own. So I paid LegalZoom like $350. They set up my LLC for me. They sent me a packet this thick full of stuff. I went through the packet of stuff and I found this one page in there that said, if you want to be this, check this box and send this form to the IRS. Well, I didn't really know what this was, but I did Google it, and I read what Google told me, and I totally misunderstand what it was. But I checked the box, I sent the form in the IRS. At this time, I didn't have an accountant. A couple years later, I had started using an accountant. I get a letter in the mail from the IRS saying, we've rejected your past 2 years of tax returns because you haven't filed them correctly. Now, if you've ever gotten a letter from the IRS, they're not exactly real descriptive about what they're talking about. It basically says, we've rejected your returns, and it doesn't say why. So what you get to do is, you get to pay your accountant to trade letters with IRS for the next 2 years in my case, trying to figure out what the issue is when really it was my issue in the first place. I should have never checked that box and sent it to the IRS. And you end up spending, in my case, $1,500 paying an accountant to do a job. I could have paid him $300 up front if I just would have told him what I was doing, and he would have told me not to check the box, fill the form in, right? So, lessons learned, make sure you use an accountant, because it is always so much easier to check in any professional up front, get their advice, and it's definitely cheaper in the long run. Now, the fourth thing we're going to talk about is an easy to work with insurance agent. Just like the lawyer and the accountant, easy to work with means the same thing. You're going to return my phone call, you're going to answer my emails, you're going to be there when I need you, and you're going to give me advice that is actually good advice. When it comes to insurance agents, not all of them sell products in which you're actually working in. For instance, you might have a great home and car guy or home and auto guy, but he's not going to know about business. He can sell you a business policy, but he's probably not the expert, or he might be the expert. You really need to talk to him and find out. But you definitely need what is termed in the industry a general liability insurance policy. Typically, they're $1 million of coverage, which might sound like a lot, but in reality, it's not a lot in these days and age. And $1 million policy doesn't really cost you that much. But if, like anything else, if you haven't gotten the expertise and you haven't paid for the policy, you're definitely going to end up costing yourself in the long run if you needed that insurance and didn't have it. Right? Insurance is one of those things where it's better to have it and not need it and pay for it than need it, not have it, and wish you would have paid for it. And one of the last things we're going to talk about today is getting your business license. Now, depending on what trade you're in and what you're actually doing and what state you're in, what city you're in, you might not need a license. But I can pretty much guarantee you, for an electrician, a plumber, an HVAC guy, you're going to need a license all over the country no matter where you're at. You also might need just a general business license to operate in the state or city you're in. If you're a general contractor, you might need a general contractor's license in the state or city that you're operating in. Again, this goes back to ask your attorney that you've already got on board of what you need to operate legally in the state or city that you're working in. This, again, will cover you much better in the long run if you're set up in the beginning, as opposed to trying to go out, do without a license, get caught maybe or something, and have to redo work, right? Because if you redo work, you're going to look really bad in front of your customer, and you're also going to set a bad example for what they call the authorities having jurisdiction in your area that you're going to be working with going forward. Because there's a good bet that whoever the inspector that you talked to the first time, he's going to be your inspector in that area for a long time. So you definitely don't want to start your business out giving that inspector a bad impression of how you're going to operate. You want to set a good example, you want to be a professional about it, and just make sure you have your license set up and ready to go when you get started. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is make sure you get your own business checking account. That is a big deal to a lot of people when you get started. The business checking accounts don't really cost anything except maybe like a $10 maintenance fee. You do have to have like an EIN number, which your accountant will help you with, and you have to have your articles of formation usually, which your attorney can help you with. You have to give those to the bank so that they know exactly who they're working with usually. Now, when you have customers write you a check, make sure they write the check to the business name. Don't write it to you personally. That gets things real confusing when you have to go do your taxes, and it also sets a bad example to your customer of, well, why am I writing this guy, right? Why am I writing a check directly to this guy when he should be writing the check to the business? So let's review what we talked about today. Number 1, a unique business name. Number 2, find a good attorney. Number 3, find a good accountant. Number 4, find a good insurance guy. Number 5, get licensed if you need to in the state or city that you're working in. And number 6, make sure you get a business checking account. Now, next week on Build Like a Pro TV, we're going to talk about the next step of how you actually, now that you have your business formed, let's go out and get you some work. Now, the biggest thing about getting work is, how do you price the work? You have to know how to price it accurately to make yourself money. So we're going to talk about the basics of an estimate and how you actually go from, here's how I calculate my labor, material, equipment, my margin, and present my customer with a bid that I know I can make money on. So until next time, keep building like a pro, and check us out on our next video. And also, please make sure you like us and subscribe to us on all our social media accounts, definitely on YouTube. Check out our website. We really appreciate it if you guys would help us out with that.